Alright guys, and we are back with another video. Now we're going to tackle the last team in the NL Central, and that would be the St. Louis Cardinals. Very balanced team, very well-rounded team. They have a lot of players at the major league level and a lot coming as far as prospects. So let's dive right in and get into them. We're going to start on the pitching side. And they are led by Jack Flaherty, who last year was a call up. He had 28 starts with them last year. Um, he's really good. He's only 23 years old. He's going to get better. Um, he had a cup of coffee with them in 2017. Last year was his first full year in the majors. He pitched 151 innings. He struck out 182 guys. ERA of 3.34 and a whip of 1.106. Yeah, stud in the making. Need him, have to have him. If he's out there, go grab him. Plug and play every format. Um, Next is Miles Mikolas, who was signed last year out of the Japanese leagues. They gave him a 2-year deal, $7 million a year, and they liked him so much that they just extended him for 4 years at $68 million. I happen to personally have a good attachment to him because his brother is one of my best friends. We work together, and it's kind of cool. I always make fun of him, and I try and send him ridiculous trade offers because in our league that we play together, we let him have his brother. And then I always try and send him trade offers like, all right, I'm going to trade you Mookie Betts for him. But the stipulation is that you let me contact MLB Network, and, I tell them that you traded me your brother. And he's always like, no, absolutely not. So, oh well. Eventually, maybe I'll send him an offer, and he'll be like, ooh, you made me think. Then I'll know I have him. Um, yeah, he had a ridiculous last year. He 32 starts. He had 20 quality starts, 18 wins, for 200 innings pitched. He only had 146 strikeouts, which is probably the one and only knock you have on him. Is he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but 200 innings, he only had 29 walks. That's ridiculous. So he had basically like a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's insane. Okay? I don't care if you don't strike out a ton of guys. He still struck out almost 150 guys. That's ridiculous. You need him on your team. You want him on your team. His ERA was 2.83 and his whip was 1.071. If it wasn't for the fact that Max Scherzer and Jacob DeGrom had like ridiculous years, most years those numbers will win you a Cy Young. So that's how good he was last year. In most other years, he would win a Cy Young. It's just very unlucky that Max Scherzer and Jacob DeGrom had like ridiculous, like historic years. So, another guy you definitely want in pretty much every format, every scoring format. He's going to have great value. I don't see anything that would lead me to believe he's not going to be just as good this year as he was last year. Then you have Carlos Martinez, who I really don't know what's going on with him, whether they're going to have him as a starter or a reliever this year. They used him in both. Now, he just had a PRP injection in his shoulder, and he's not going to be reevaluated until March 12th. And they shut him down for 2 weeks with concerns over his shoulder. So I would say due to that, if he even makes the team, if he's not on the DL and stuff, they're probably going to use him as a reliever. He had 9 saves last year, so there's a really good chance they use him as a closer this year, even though they did sign Andrew Miller, who they can use. So what that means is they're really hoping for some production out of finally one of their top prospects, which will I'm going to talk about him now because he's going to make the rotation. Unless something ridiculous happens, he's going to be in the starting rotation. It's Alex Reyes. He had Tommy John surgery back in 2016 or 17. Missed the whole year. Um, it was 2000. Yeah, it was right in the middle of 2016. So it cost him all of 2016 and 2017. And then last year, he had a torn lat muscle, which ended his season in May. So the kid has just been snake bit by injuries. So they are just really, really hoping that they're finally going to get some production out of this guy because they've been waiting on him forever. Like literally, he was signed in 2012. So that's like 7 years ago. He should have been in the major leagues full time like 3 years ago at least. So he's got really his fastball's ridiculous. He's got a really good curveball. Plus he's got a decent changeup and a slider. So he's got four pitches. You know, his control's an issue, but with all the injuries he's had, he's gonna walk some guys. He's gonna have growing pains. You're gonna have to deal with that, but you're gonna get a lot of strikeouts out of the guy, just because his fastball is so crazy. Let me look. I'm looking at last season's stats. Let me look and see what he's projected as for this year. I mean, he's projected to pitch 116 innings and strike out 142 batters. So that's the kind of potential he has. So that's pretty sick. Um, Michael Walker, John Gant, Adam Wainwright, those are going to be the guys that are rounding out the rotation. Not much to write home about there. Wainwright might be able to regain some of the form that he had at one point. Waka had a lot of promise at some point. Not really sure. I really think after Flaherty and Mikolas, there's no sure go-to guy on this staff. It's probably going to be their one weakness. They may wind up making a trade or two at the deadline to acquire some pitching. Um, as far as the offensive side of things go, they made the trade in the offseason to get Paul Goldschmidt, who is, you have him, you have Matt Carpenter, you have Marcelo Zuna. Just draft them, start them, get them, trade for them, keep them, dynasty, everything. You're looking at guys that are going to hit you anywhere from 265 to 290, all three of them. They're all going to hit around 25 to 30 bombs. They're all going to hit around 90 RBIs. They're studs. So you draft them as studs, you keep them as studs, you do what you need to do, you just put them in your lineup every day. Harrison Bader is the young outfielder that came up last year. This kid has some speed, he's got some pop. He's definitely a 2020 candidate. He hit 20 home runs in the minors. They're projecting him for 20 home runs this year, projecting him for 18 stolen bases. So he's definitely a guy that you want to keep an eye on. Paul DeJong, who plays middle infield, he's got power. He can hit over 20 home runs. He's going to hit around 250. Then you have Jose Martinez, who was the first baseman last year, but Goldschmidt's your first baseman this year. So I think they're going to play him in the outfield this year. He just signed a 2-year contract extension. So you still might see them trade him once the season starts, maybe for some starting pitching. And if he gets the at-bats, the home runs will be there. The batting average is good. The guy's a hitter. If they could trade him to the American League where he could just DH, the guy will put up monster numbers. Tyler O'Neill is a rookie. Don't really see a lot there. Colton Wong, there's not a lot to get excited about. Jed Jerko could be a really cheap source of pop. He's going to hit you double-digit home runs. He plays all over the place. Yadier Molina, starting to hit the downslope of his career, but he's still consistent. He's still going to hit 270, 280. He's probably going to put up double digits in home runs and about 50 to 60 RBIs. So, I mean, in a two catcher league, he's valuable. Ugh, excuse me, long day. Um, in a one catcher league, he's probably he's definitely rosterable. I don't know if you're starting him. There may be there may be 11 other guys out there for a standard 12-team league that you could have. I mean, right now he's definitely going to be probably starting because with some of the catchers that have had injuries, especially Salvador Perez going down with the Tommy John surgery, that opens up a spot in people's starting lineups. So it definitely is a spot for Yachty. So that's pretty much it as far as their pitching and their offense. Let's look at their prospects. So we already talked about Alex Reyes, who's still listed as a prospect because he hasn't had enough innings pitched yet in the major leagues. But we already went over him. Nolan Gorman, third baseman. He was their first-round draft pick last year. He went 19th overall and is already the number 61 prospect in baseball and the number 7 third base prospect. They had him playing in the Appalachian League right off the bat, and he tore it up. He had 143 at-bats. He had 11 home runs. He batted .350 and got on pace at a .443 clip. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. So he'll probably make the jump to high A ball this year to see where he's at, to see if he can. I mean, the kid's only 18 years old, so that's pretty sick. If he can keep that on track, you will see him in the majors very quickly, or packaged for a primetime starter. Then you got Andrew Knizner. He's the number 10 overall catching prospect. He's just a straight hitter. He played at both Double A and Triple A last year. At Double A, he hit 313. Triple A hit 315. His on base percentage was 365 and 383. 7 home runs, so he's got a little bit of pop. And yeah, the guy's just. If anything happens to Yadi Molina, you could see him in the major leagues this year. Let's see. Elehuris Montero's another third baseman prospect who also tore up Peoria last year. In A-ball, he had 382 at-bats, hit 15 home runs, 69 RBIs, hit 322 with a 381 on-base percentage. So he's going to be another guy this year that you're going to see in high A. He'll probably be with Palm Beach. I might have to go over there and take in a game or two. Maybe when the St. Lucie Mets are over there. Then you got Jan Torres, who's an outfield prospect. Here's another guy who can. If the Cardinals, their drafting, their international scouting is just ridiculous. They find these guys from nowhere and they develop them, and that's the reason why the Cardinals are always so good, because they have always guys in the pipeline waiting to come up. This kid's an outfielder, and it's another silly stat line. All right, so he played in the Gulf Coast League. He had 63 at-bats. He had 4 home runs. He hit 397 and got on base 493. So he had 63 at-bats and was on base almost half the time. That's just sick. It's absolutely sick. So, I mean, these guys, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on them. There was one more I saw. Oh, it was this kid, the one they signed out of Cuba, Malcolm Nunez. Yeah. He played with he played rookie league ball. Okay, so he had 164 at-bats. He had 13 home runs with 59 RBIs. He batted .415 and got on base .497. A .497 on-base percentage. Okay? That's just silly. It's absolutely. He had 68 hits and 26 walks. So, I mean, The Cardinals are loaded. They're always loaded. They always will be loaded. They're just one of those teams that they're never going to go away because they have quality at the major league level, and then they have almost a whole team of guys at the minor league level just waiting to come up. So those will be some interesting names to look at for midseason trades if the Cardinals are contending and they really need some pitching to see what they do with some of these guys if they move them. But they're a really interesting team this year, and I think they're going to have a lot of fantasy value as well. All right. So that does it for the NL Central. We're going to stop there, and I will pick up tomorrow with the NL West, and we'll see what that has to offer, and then we'll move over to the American League. All right. So as always, like, comment, share. Subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff for me. Let everyone know I'm out here. Let them know that I'm doing the reviews. Let them know that hey, if you want some good fantasy information, come talk to me. Leave comments, like I said, ask questions, do all kinds of stuff like that. All right, and I will see you guys later.